So welcome everyone for joining this webinar. This webinar is special as we are experimenting with the format, with the new format this time. We'll be having a conversation or a podcast with our guest, Iwein. The topic we are going to discuss is very close to my heart. Last couple of decades have been very transformative for the tech industry, as you know, starting from the internet to Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or the mobile revolution. The tech has provided the convenience, has shaped many unicorns, many billionaires. In the same breath, the same tech is responsible for our attention deficit, instant gratification, and has permeated in our lives in such a way that it is breaking our social fabric as well. The parents are clueless what to do with their kids who are always in front of a screen. They don't know when their child is actually studying and when having some dangerous conversation with a stranger on Instagram. It took billions of years for Earth to become livable, and yet we seem determined to destroy this rare life-sustaining planet in a span of some decades or a century. While we chase fantasies of making Mars livable, we still can't stop wildfires in LA, the tech capital of the world. To be honest, we see this havoc going on in front of our eyes. Either we are shell-shocked and numb, or we are plain careless, or maybe we don't know what, as a common person, we should be doing. The good news is every individual is capable of taking the situation in their hands and could contribute in their own possible ways to make this planet better. Regenerative entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs provide some answers, and that is what we're going to discuss today. Our guest, Iwein Fuld, is an entrepreneur and founder of squads.com, a platform for international teams for freelancer developers. He is also heavily involved in regenerative agriculture because we should be all doing that actually. After having worked for large consulting firms such as Capgemini and Accenture, Iwein moved towards growing businesses like Spring Source, and I remember that he was part of writing a book on Spring integration as well. Eventually, he became a serial entrepreneur on his own terms. Iwein's main strength is building teams and communities. Being able to build successful distributed teams has helped build the community around squares.com. So welcome, Iwein, to the conversation.
Thank you, Shrikant, for that awesome introduction. I feel a little bit humbled by it. I would love to speak with you all about regenerative entrepreneurship. And one important remark I want to make is that I don't see myself as an authority figure there. It's something I discovered along the way. And I'm hoping that all of us can discover that and discover the small things we can do to make life better for everyone.
Okay, so maybe I will start with the first question, which is about the term itself. So it is quite intriguing to hear this term of regenerative entrepreneurship. So what are your thoughts around that? What is all about actually?
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody is aware of what regenerative agriculture is. I think that is important to understand at first, and then we can extrapolate from there. Regenerative agriculture is a form of agriculture that actively helps natural systems to regenerate, restore themselves. So, as you might know, more than half of all the habitable land is used for agriculture at the moment. We have a limit on the planet surface, of course. And what we do in terms of agriculture is one of the largest influences we have on the livability of this planet. And that's why I believe it's very important to do agriculture in such a way that we create uh, ecosystem where every living being can happily be themselves. That is something I really, really like. And regenerative agriculture is the practice of doing that. And it involves a lot of different detailed practices that I won't go into. But the goal is to actively help nature regenerate ecosystems. And we can do the same thing in businesses because a business can be sustainable or ethical and try to minimize the harm it does. But this is resting on the assumption that doing business, innovating, always does a little bit of harm. And whereas it's true that you cannot exist without doing harm, we can always do more good than harm or strive to do so. So regenerative business is really about actively making the world a better place to live in. So that is on top of the ethical and sustainable holistic practices that exist. And we can do this by helping people reconnect in real life in local communities, or we can help them agriculturally, of course, which is a very important part of what I think is important. But we can also do this in very abstract ways by making it easier for people to have healthy living practices and live a sustainable life, even with modern technology.
Yeah, I got your point actually. At the same time, I was thinking that uh, if you look at right now the way things are, why do you think this regenerative entrepreneurship is relevant uh, right now, or even more today, actually?
Well, yeah, I've had a reasonably long career uh, chasing the dream, so to speak. I started my career with the ambition of becoming a millionaire. And then quite soon I became disillusioned by this game called capitalism, which optimizes for extraction, profits, and in effect optimizes for harm that way. So I wanted a little bit more meaning out of life and out of my career. And that's why I started searching for doing things differently and fixing the bugs I saw in the world. And that sort of led me down the path to change my LinkedIn title to regenerative entrepreneur. And then I found out that there were other people that did that before me.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
it's really sort of a discovery of this because of the unhappiness that capitalism creates, also in myself. And when I looked at all those issues in the world, like the social disconnect that many people are feeling, the hate we see spread on corporate-controlled social media, the harm that is done to nature and to lots of people as well. Um, all these things are a consequence of the simplistic and callous way this capitalist game is played. And when I heard somebody say that they were winning the game, so they also wanted to finish it, that was somebody that recently became a billionaire, actually. Um, I thought, yeah, we really all need to hit the brakes very hard and do things differently, because otherwise we'll end up with a destroyed world and a lot of unhappy people. And the way I look at it is that there's lots of science fiction out there, and some of it is quite realistic. We've
Mhm.
seen also quite extreme samples of that, like movies, Mad Max, Waterworld. Those are things that probably are not going to happen. But the science fiction is basically split into um, genres around what's going to happen with the environment. One is called cyberpunk, and the other one is called solar punk. Cyberpunk is about tech taking over and yeah, living in a dystopic world like Asimov's Earth, um, where nature hardly exists anymore and everything is produced by machines. And solarpunk is in my opinion, much more hopeful future where there's lots of mutual aid going on, people sharing food, society with high tech integrated with nature. So biodiversity could increase while we also keep our, mobile phone or smartwatch or electrical bike or whatever you want, right? So that solar punk future is, I think, achievable with the science and technology we have. We just need to somehow put some guardrails around unbounded capitalism because it's destroying us.
So yeah, as you rightly pointed out, and I'm just discovered that this cyberpunk option is not the only option. Solar punk option is also there. I was also thinking to go to Mars actually because of all the scaring things which people are showing to us actually. So there are better options, not just the options which we have been shown actually. And also, it is important to understand that these things are all in our hand actually. So it's not outside of our purview.
Mhm.
So the next one actually, I was thinking about the entrepreneurship itself. So when it comes to entrepreneurship or building a new product, people may have a perception that their idea either should be a revolutionary or disruptive. So while doing that, I feel people forget that they need to come out from their virtual world and need to see just around around their habitat and its problems. And then they should be able to find tons of opportunities in serving the society and the planet at the same time, earning the necessary money as well. So what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, so I'm thinking that I was actually taught at some point by a mentor that got it wrong, that every human decision is driven by fear or greed or both.
Mhm.
And I think that lots of human behavior is driven by compassion and love and, just the creativity or trying to have fun. And what this first perception is like a scarcity mindset, and this scarcity mindset gives people the feeling that they don't have enough and that they need to take from others to become great, right?
Mhm.
And that the only way to become great is to do something that nobody has ever done before, and you should stand on top of your mountain and win. That's
Yeah.
the kind of dream that is sold, and it's a nightmare actually. And I think that if you realize that there is so much life on this planet, and the in irradiant sunlight gives us more than 10,000 times. Sorry, maybe somebody needs to mute. But irradiant sunlight gives us more than 10,000 times the energy that human society needs at the moment. That is insane, right? We have 4 orders of magnitude more energy available to us than we need right now. So there's so much surplus of good stuff that if you just look at what's already there and look at simple solutions for simple problems, you can
Mhm.
have a very, very healthy and happy business doing things that also make you healthy and happy. So I think we can go into some examples of that where we show
Yep.
that
Absolutely. Yeah.
you don't need to build a unicorn to do something good. Shall we go into those examples under when we talk about the fund a little bit, or?
Maybe you can give one example at least.
Yeah, so the example that is most top of mind right now is Ethan. You see, he's actually has his video on. Maybe Ethan, you have the volition to talk a little bit about Sustainable Schools Network. Or do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, so Ewan, thank you very much. So here where I am, it is raining and my network, my signal strength isn't that good. I'm not sure if you are hearing me well.
Yeah, we are able to hear you well. We are able to hear you well, Ethan.
Yeah, so this Sustainable Schools Network is a network aiming at joining schools together in order to champion sustainability, especially through promoting sustainable agriculture and also combating environmental conservation. Yeah, through this Sustainable Schools Network, students in both primary and secondary schools are taught different agricultural practices such as regenerative agriculture and permaculture. Because especially in urban schools, some schools do not have space, and those with space, that space is not fertile. And it's whereby you need to apply some regenerative methods or some urban farming techniques. And this involves creativity and innovation. Yeah, and with creativity and innovation, if these kids are founded with it at their earlier stages, it gives them a great element of innovation even in their futures. And so this teaches them how to make their own food, and it's one of the ways how they can benefit through it. Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Nathan. So maybe you can also drop the URL in the chat and people can see an example. And this is a thing that I've helped Ethan a little bit do this, and it is a lot of fun. So we learn as we go along this. We play this game of creating regenerative farming solutions near schools and working with kids to maintain them. It's early stage and we will still have to see what comes out of it. But one thing that is already a great success for me is that I feel very conscious about drinking coffee. I like coffee a lot. And I know it's not good for the environment to drink a lot of coffee. But it turns out that the plot that Sustainable Schools acquired to do their regenerative farming experiments on already had some coffee growing on it. So we imported the coffee to the Netherlands, and I'm almost ready to taste it now. And this gives me a lot of happiness. It's not a great grand success in the unicorn scale, but this is a collaboration over quite a long distance that results in Ethan and his friends making some money and doing something that they believe is improving the lives over there, and it's giving me the opportunity to drink more sustainable coffee. So there is a win-win there. It's a good business in that
Absolutely.
sense. It's just a simple example. There's more.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, while I was looking at the idea of the regenerative entrepreneurship,
DLC?
sorry, there is this. Okay. So while I was looking at the idea of the regenerative entrepreneurship, I was also trying to see whether it has some sort of similarity between ethical entrepreneurship or sustainable entrepreneurship. So maybe you, because these words are generally coined across as well. So maybe you can give some idea like what could be the differentiation between these two.
Yeah, I went into that briefly already in the introduction, and the most important difference in my mind is that if you want to regenerate, you are trying to create something that actually improves, does good, right? Do more good instead of only less harm. So the way I think about it is that there's this famous saying, it's gone around as a meme a lot of times as well, that you should think 7 generations ahead. So I like to think about what my actions have in terms of consequences over a long period of time, like more than my lifetime. And I think it is very
Absolutely
important for feeling like fulfillment in life, that you feel like you're leaving something behind that's bigger than your own self. And I think that what regenerative means for me is that it allows the whole ecosystem to become better and basically rise above the individual ego. And
Yeah.
that is something you do when you plant a tree,
Beyond your
and you
egos,
don't do.
actually. Beyond your egos.
Yeah, exactly. And if you plant a tree, you're doing that because the tree will last for hundreds of years. And if you're just raking in ad revenue, you're not doing that, obviously.
Yeah, fair enough, actually.
And yeah, so to bring it back to the sustainable ethical thing, like if you have an NGO and you're feeding uh, children that would otherwise be hungry, you're doing something very good, but you're not planting trees for those children to feed themselves.
Yeah, that's very important because many times what happens is that just for doing the momentary benefit for these kids, people just give the money, but again they will be asking more money actually in the near future. So instead of making them sustainable in their life, uh, the instant gratification may be there for the person who is giving, and but it's not benefiting those kids actually.
Yeah.
So you rightly mentioned that it's not uh, just the immediate means which you see actually, but at the same time, long-term benefit can be also there actually.
Yes. And what I see is, for example, we did a project uh, very locally here with with a food forest, and thereby building a food forest for a local community, we not only create goodwill and a little bit of budget based on donations for the short term, but we really create a community that wants to build something for the long-term future. And I see this happening everywhere where we not think about mutual aid as a band-aid solution, but we think of mutual aid as, hey, there's somebody here with an interesting puzzle. Let's solve this interesting puzzle together and create a business out of it.
Absolutely.
And that's what regenerative entrepreneurship means for me.
Great, awesome. So moving forward, I was just thinking like how what Squares is doing in this direction as of now.
Yeah, so we've with Squads, it's a community of freelancers, and when we started out, none of those freelancers had a lot of money, so we had no way of investing, and we just had to pay the bills, right? People need to make rent. That's something that we have to do in the world we live in, and uh, while doing that, we found that it is often easier to make money doing things that don't really help the world forward. And after doing this for a few years, we've had more and more conversations where people said, I want to have more meaning to what we're doing.
Yeah.
We want to have impact, basically. And what we have done is we've pulled together a little bit of money from the earnings we've had and started a little fund, the Squads Fund. And we've invested in several businesses with it. And we have consciously decided to invest only in regenerative business. And we make very small investments because we don't have a lot of money yet. And also with Squads, we in the sales, we actively look for customers that are more on the regenerative side of the spectrum. So we don't want to build weapons guidance systems or advertising optimizing stuff. If it's not too harmful, we may have to take on a customer that pays really well and does something that we are not generally super proud of. But yeah, the ethics become more and more important, and then at some point uh, we start building our own things. That's the period we're in right now, and we've decided that we want to build stuff that matters and has an impact.
Yeah. So maybe you can provide some examples as well where you have started working in this direction actually for certain startups?
Yeah, so recently we invested in a startup called Farm to Home, and what they do is they help people to get produce from local farms delivered to their doorstep. And as you may know, that a lot of produce in the Western world is coming from other continents, traveled it's more than 10,000 kilometers on average. That is something I've read somewhere. I haven't got the details top of mind, but like large distances, lots of monoculture going on, and the local farms are struggling because they don't get high enough prices for their produce, and there is a huge gap in between the price that the farmer gets and the price that the consumer pays.
Yep.
So if we can create this situation where the customer can buy directly from a local farm and have the convenience of it being home delivered, that is a game changer. So Farm to Home has built a business that can sustainably do this, and sustainably, I mean, they can make profit doing this. We've invested in that, and if they are successful with this, they could really disrupt the global food market. Or such an idea could disrupt the global food market because they don't need to be like the one monopolistic big player, of course. But yeah, that's an example we've invested in. And another example is BOAS. They are building a platform where that disrupts the fast fashion industry. 40% of all the clothes that are produced around the world are never worn. And you know probably about a lot of wrongs in the fashion industry, exploitation, and that sort of stuff. So if we can use the clothes better and sell the reused clothes, that could have a very positive impact on the environment, and also a very positive impact in a sense of doing less harm to people producing clothes.
Great.
So we've invested in that as well, and yeah, BOAS is showing promising signs of actually going in that direction, and the European legislation is pushing them along. So I'm very positive about that.
Awesome. Some of the very good examples actually. So these are the examples if you see from the investing from the investing in the budding entrepreneurs. But then there is another coin of the another side of the coin where somebody wants to invest his money. So maybe those people may want to invest in the money in the ventures which are more regenerative in the nature. So is there a side where Squads Fund can take their help as well from this perspective?
Yeah, right now we are an invite-only community. The reason for that is that we want to make sure that it's not turning into some sort of Ponzi scheme. But we are looking for impact investors, people that want to contribute to improvements in the world. And the unique nature of the Squads Fund is that we do realize that people investing money will want to have the value of their money somehow, not guaranteed, of course, because it's a risk investment, but they want the value of their money to steadily increase. It should be possible to invest your pension in such a thing, I think. And yeah, we have the focus on doing only regenerative businesses, which is, if you look at typical impact investors, it's more towards the donation side almost. And the other side, the VC investments, they are really focused on hypergrowth, unicorns, that sort of thing. So we are sort of in the middle between that, and I think the future of investing, I'm hoping the future of investing will be groups of people that actually know each other and can collaborate towards the best investment decisions, doing so in small syndicates like the Squads Fund. So if anybody wants to invest through such a vehicle, I would love to talk to them.
Great. I think that will be awesome, actually, for both sides to do that. I'm just
I hope so.
shifting the gears again back to the tech world. So I'm just wondering, you might have seen some of the problems in the tech companies, or the problems they have created for the world and society. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, actually.
Yeah, so I I have kids, and when I look at my kids' behavior for a few hours, I see a lot of those problems passing by. Um, the the biggest risk I see right now is that we have a huge biodiversity loss and a huge climate catastrophe.
Yeah.
I would even mention that we have several crises that together you can call the poly crisis or meta crisis. And almost all of that is directly caused by the greed of the tech industry. And specific examples in the Netherlands, we have recently found out that all the people here are poisoned by PFAS. The PFAS is a material that is uh, created to have a non-stick layer in pans, for example, but it's also in raincoats and tents and like everywhere in the industry it's used. And one of the big producers of this substance had a factory in a densely populated area in the Netherlands. We're a rich country, so people assume that the government takes good care of us, etc., etc. But this turned out not to be the case, and the reason is that. Science comes up with a nice idea, it seems to work somehow, and then a business person comes up with um, a business that makes a profit out of that, and then a lot of capital flows into that because of greed, and nobody stops to look carefully at the consequences of such a new development. So that's just one example of many, and yeah, there's lots of even worse examples. Asphalt lakes. I mean, I don't want to create a long list of doom here, but you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I was also wondering, do you see any trend or inclination of the people moving towards this direction? Because even though it looks that everybody's really concerned about what is really happening around, but at the same time, what do you see the trend? Are people doing something about that as well as and becoming regenerative entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so this I do see that, and I also do see the opposite. And the difference between those two perceptions or perspectives is the zoom level. So if I look at global news outlets or corporate controlled social media, I see a trend moving towards fascism and destruction of the
Yeah,
planet.
yeah,
And if I look locally and I talk to the local people, or I talk one on one with people like you, for example, I see a trend towards more conscious behavior and a more activist nature. So I see people saying, like, I'm radicalized by normal decency and stuff like that. You know, this whole vibe of we've had enough and we need to do something about this.
yeah,
So I think that I really like what's happening on a local and decentralized perspective. And I think we should focus way more on that, and we should not follow the 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 blunt global centrally controlled trends. But I'm not sure which side of this is going to win, to be honest. But
yeah.
if I can help it, you know what I will do.
Yeah, actually, I think the one thing which everybody has is what they can possibly do and can contribute to. and that is what everybody can do among us, actually. So
Indeed.
another one is, as we have been talking about billionaires, I was just wondering if it is ethical to be a billionaire.
Of course not. No, that's the simple answer. I once did a calculation because I was curious, really curious. Like this, well, friend of mine who became a billionaire and decided that he wanted to finish the game. Um, I thought like almost that is like a personality disorder to be a billionaire, right? Once you have enough, why don't you stop? And then I decided, yeah, what is enough? Because I am quite privileged and I could give away all my wealth and then I would be maybe a better person. I don't know. So where is the upper boundary when it becomes unethical to get more? So I did a calculation and I have actually put it on an obscure website that I own. So if people want to know about it, they can ask later and I'll put a URL. But I calculated that if nobody would earn more than 750,000 euros per year, and nobody would own more than 75 million, which are astronomical amounts, right? You never need more money than that. If that would be the case, and all the surplus money would be used to combat poverty, there would be no poor people in the world. So it's a simple calculation, right? And if you're above that boundary, which is astronomical to pretty much all of us, I hope, you should do something about it. It's easy to give away that money.
Absolutely. I'm not sure why there is no limit of earning more and more and more. I don't know what keeps people busy in doing that.
Yeah, it's and I've never, other than this friend that said, I just want to finish the game, there I never heard an argument to gather more wealth than a little bit less than a billion. So in
Got it.
that sense, it's logically unethical and obviously harmful to finish that game, and I'm not going to.
Yeah. So one question was there in my mind, actually, so that people in general move towards some attractive or simpler option to earn money, even if that doesn't make a better place, the world as a better place. So what do you think? What stops us to think in such a way that uh, we are looking for regenerative world, actually, regenerative planet? What stops us doing that?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about fear and greed earlier, and once people get used to a certain level of luxury, they become fearful of losing it. And the more people are in big trouble in the world, the more you can see people in trouble, the more fear will happen, uh, that it will happen to you one day. So I think one of the things that I really like as a solution there is universal basic income. If we could make sure that nobody is ever going to be hungry or unclothed or unhoused. So if everybody has shelter and food and the basic necessities, then research has shown that people will naturally do the innovations and the creative things they want to do. And there's been many examples of natural disasters and situations where people think, oh, societal fabric is going to collapse. And people actually come together and do a lot of mutual aid and help each other. So I think the reason that people are opting to do stuff that is unhealthy for the ecosystem or unhealthy for themselves just to make rent can is the fear, and it can very easily turn into the rent-seeking behavior that we call greed. And we need to be very conscious on that path not to cross the line silently. I
Yeah.
think that is the crux.
One of the thing I was also thinking is that uh, the kind of communication which really happens among us is to celebrate the billionaires, celebrate the people who have the high worth of money, versus showing the mirror of the society where some people are really doing pretty good and benefiting the society. They are not really considered as successful. The the focus of or the definition of becoming successful somehow leads to money, and versus uh, somebody is really happy and successful in doing what he wants to do and benefiting the world as well. That particular face is not really shown to the world. So every day that kind of communication keeps happening in the social media, in the written media or any sort of media, and people are bombarded with that kind of communication, and then many new people think that that is the way to go only. That is where they need to be moving, uh, and somehow many times I've seen that the world become very virtual versus the real world around them. So the some of these factors I also seen that contributes to to the worldview of a person actually.
Yeah, and if you're playing games on your phone or or browsing social media, well, corporate controlled social media, then you're bombarded with these ads that tell you to do more trading, to make easy money
Yeah,
using Ponzi schemes, uh, to play games and get a high score. And all this is a vicious cycle. Yeah, I agree.
absolutely.
And somehow we need to tell more stories about people being successful in the other end. I remember the story you told me about your father. I don't know if you feel comfortable of sharing that, but I thought it was a beautiful one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just this is a story which I told Iwein. So uh, after independence, India had a lot of such people who were very determined in turning out the country in a great nation, and were really working towards shaping the new society. And in that context, there were many people who focused of giving their life or their years of golden years actually to the society, but nothing looking nothing as a return. So when such kind of communication used to happen, or people used to get into those sort of movements, other people would also join, and that used to become a movement. And we could see a lot of such people at that point of time. And one of them was my father as well. He gave around 18 years for the good of the farmers, and he was part of the Bhudan movement actually, so which is about donating the land to the landless people at that point of time. So uh, so now as you see that sort of thought process, that sort of communication in the usual media doesn't really happen, or people don't really care about it. Sometimes I see that the people of yesteryears could be considered as manic or mad people, but sometimes I feel that we need more such mad people than we are living right now.
Yeah, I think that, the madness of being kind to each other is much less harmful than the madness of trying to escape to Mars.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the last one actually for this conversation is any message to the budding entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I want to be very careful not to be patronizing people. I think that if people do things that they believe are right from their own volition, I'm not the person to judge them on that. But I would strongly suggest that people look for meaningful long-term results that benefit all of society, including their children and grandchildren, for example, um, over seeking to win this game of as much money as possible.
Great. Thank you, Iwein. And so as we finish this conversation, I'm opening this conversation for the people here. So any questions for Iwein? Anybody?
Not really. This is not a question, but it's a heartfelt thanks, and I would like to really thank Iwein for his time and what he has offered to share with us today. Thank you very much, Iwein.
Thank you, Ethan. It's been a lot of fun.
Anybody else who has any question?
Uh, Hi, this is Maruti. I do not have any specific question, but I think this is really an interesting topic, Shrikant, to think about both of these worlds, the agriculture and the technology together. I was just googling on what this typically the topic is all about. So recently, I have also kind of uh, interested in agriculture, and though it's kind of 2 generations ago where my forefathers did it, me and my husband typically again bought a small farmland and just stepping into that. I think giving these kind of suggestions and similar thoughts from people around the world, it's really great to hear from the speaker too. And yeah, I hope you keep doing some interesting sessions like this in the future too. And one question which I had is, though this idea of regenerative entrepreneurship is a little more interesting, but I still see, at least folks in India, where we see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of big companies are investing a lot in the seeds. You know, due to that, I think we have lost the culture of having our own, producing our own seed, which earlier was the case quite many generations ago. We never used to, farmers never used to bring seeds or kind of take money or spend money to get the seeds. They used to make their own seeds. So once the big companies started to came in, I think we all the farmers started to shift it to slowly to get the good quality seeds, and that's where we are starting to spend more money. So one of the principles which I kind of have put in and is also to kind of help people on to make their own seeds by themselves, giving more preservatives to our own seeds. So any thoughts on the similar lines that could help? What are you thinking about conserving the seeds by the farmers by themselves? Do you see the similar problem around the world?
That is a very interesting question and some insights, Maruti. Um, I have actually been speaking with a company called the Seed Shepherd. But for the rest of the audience, it may be good to reiterate the problem. So there is some very large companies in the world that have been patenting seeds used for producing food. Currently, 75% of all the food eaten by humans is produced by 12 species of plants and 5 species of animals. So if you think about biodiversity crisis, this is horrible. And now most farmers are using seeds that they buy and they're licensed seeds. So basically companies have taken nature and patented it. And now the farmers are disallowed to harvest the seeds from the plants they grow themselves and reseed them. So in the Netherlands, if you buy potatoes like to plant, and after the harvest, you can just take a few potatoes, put them back into the ground. You can go to jail for that. So that is that's a huge problem, and I think it's wildly unfair that species of plants that have been cultivated for more than 5,000 years by volunteers, basically, just individual farmers,
Yeah.
are now owned by a large corporate that can try to put farmers in jail for continuing this millennia-old practice. It makes me very angry. So what we do with one of the companies I'm involved with is we harvest our own seeds and we we seed them and we create like this messy situation that will become impossible to litigate, and then we hope that it sort of spreads like a wildfire. So my thought is that anarchism is the best defense against this particular crime.
Yeah. I think a lot of awareness is still required across the globe to preserve our own seeds, and I hope a lot more people will start to contribute to this too. But thanks for
Yeah.
your inputs.
Thank you for bringing this opportunity.
Anybody else for the last question? If there is nobody else, then thank you so much, Iwein, for the wonderful conversation we had. I hope
Thank you, Shrikant, for structuring everything so well and helping me prepare the thoughts, because without you, this would have been a lot less fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, everyone.